Hello, Steve Mills here, and welcome to the Results Podcast. It's great to be back, but obviously I'm posting here, or I'm doing my podcast on a day that's, let's just say it's a tough day, isn't it? You know, we're in tough times. We're in battle mode. We're in a situation where I hear people say things like, you know, we're in wartime, problems and things like that. And I hope you like the picture on the front with me with some characters out of Star Wars, which I thought was quite appropriate, you know, good against evil and, you know, the dark side, hopefully, in this case, of the coronavirus being overcome. But anyway, down to work. Let's just, take a few moments to get an understanding of what's actually happening here. You hear so much hype and, quite frankly, bullshit in the media and on the social media. You know, people say things that are true, and you hear that, you know, nobody's under the age of 60 has died. Then you hear somebody else say, well, actually, that is true, is not true, and so on and so forth. So let's just take stock and let's just talk about where we are. We're right. Okay. So here we go. What's going to happen? Now, the truth is nobody really knows, but I'm going to give you my interpretation of it, my understanding, having looked and sought the advice of the World Health Organization, not, to be honest, any media, not the politicians of this world, but the World Health Organization. This is what they're saying. They're saying things are going to get worse. They're also saying that things are going to get better. And the coronavirus will make people sick, others it will make them really sick, and a small percentage of people will die. As far as business is concerned, my perception is that, some businesses will close, be it, if you're a restaurant and the government orders restaurants to close, then you'll be forced to close probably within 24 hours. Some will cease trading as a result, and others will just go bust, quite frankly. It's going to become harder for some industries, like, for example, the entertainment industries, pubs, clubs, restaurants, hotels and travel and so on, than maybe others. Also, lots of businesses will reduce. They'll reduce their staff. They'll reduce their marketing, and all that. Everything I've just said is really bad news. So, let's make one thing really clear: we're in tough times. However, what happens in tough times? What are people going to do? Well, most people are going to panic. They're going to continue to panic. And then they'll perhaps stop. And the reason they're going to panic is really two reasons, I believe. First, because this is a new virus. This is something new. And when something new happens, people often go into panic mode because of the word fear. Fear of losing money, fear of losing their job, fear of being ill, fear of dying, perhaps. The truth of the matter is, it's all. Second reason is that the media, the people are panicking. You hear all sorts of conflicting information from the government. You hear just about every single opinion you could possibly wish for on social media. And as I've already said, in my opinion, the World Health Organization is probably the best place to get your information about the situation. So what does this mean for business? What's going to happen to your business and my business? And again, the best answer I can give here is it depends. It's not going to be great, that is for sure. The economy is not going to thrive at the moment. Your business is probably not going to thrive and grow and create all the things that you and I would want it to do. But what we do have, and what we must realize we've got, is control over our business. Now, okay, there are exceptions for that. If the government forces your restaurant or pub or whatever it is, your football club, to close, then, there's nothing really you can do about that. But for those of us who are in businesses that are not covered by that legislation, my belief and my message here today is we've got to think about how is the coronavirus going to affect your business. And as I said, the answer is it depends. Depends a lot on you, not on the coronavirus, depends on you. Are you going to spend your time browsing social media, watching all the news all day and then talking with other people about how awful it is and how terrible everything is? Or are you going to think, right, nobody else is marketing, I'm going to push myself forward, I'm going to push my marketing, I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure we at least survive and hopefully even thrive in tough conditions. So in other words, are you going to focus on your business or are you going to sit back and feel sorry for yourself? That's really the message that I've got. I'd like to suggest you focus on your business. At the same time, avoiding crowds and making sure that you wash your hands. Do all the things that the World Health Authority are telling you to do. Isolating yourself, at least to some extent. So can this opportunity, this coronavirus could be viewed two ways, really. I always remember listening to Tony Robbins once say something like, I think his words were, when something happens, it's what you perceive about what happens that makes the difference. So it's not what happens, it's what you perceive about it. So you could very easily, and quite rightfully, because that's what everybody else is doing, you could be sat there thinking, oh, the coronavirus is here, isn't it terrible? What happens if we all get ill? Nobody's going to want to buy my products. Let's cut back on everything I possibly can. There's no point doing anything. I might as well not even go into work today. And so on and so forth, So we could very easily see all the downside of it. Or we could go, do you know what? I'm going to push my business forward. I'm going to get myself fitter. I'm going to do all the things that I need to do to keep myself and my family and my friends safe. I'm going to market my business. I'm going to get out there, not physically going to networking events, you understand, but I'm going to get my business marketed so that not only do I survive, but perhaps even thrive going forward when this is all over. So can this be turned into an opportunity? Now, please don't get me wrong and take it out of context. I'm certainly not saying you profit from human suffering. I'm really not. Instead, think about it this way. Most of your competition will be focusing and following the herd. The herd living in fear while watching the news and all the updates on the coronavirus. That means they're not promoting their business. They're not in front of the market, and they're not really in the game. Many of them will stop advertising or at least slow it down. If this happens, well, there's a huge opportunity. Firstly, ad costs will go down because, these companies out there, Facebook and LinkedIn and Google and so on, will be struggling to sell the amount they're selling. So prices will go down. Almost every company I do business with has sent me messages about the coronavirus. We're taking precautions here. We're here to support you. Blah, blah, blah. It's not really that they have an obligation to send out a coronavirus email, but those communications really, in my opinion, are meaningless. They don't tell me anything. They tell me what I already know about how to look after myself and make sure I'm safe. So I thought I'd do something a little bit different with this sort of podcast. I want you to think about doing whatever it takes to make sure, yes, that you're safe, but B, that your business is safe too. And, it may or may not be possible. I don't know for you. But what I do know for me is that I'm going to do my absolute best to make sure my business stays safe. I've been doing this 25 years now We've had lots of ups and downs. We've come through, depressions and the financial crisis and swine flu and foot and mouth and you name it. Okay, and we've managed to survive. So, in my opinion, that's not going to change. I'm going to do whatever it takes to make sure that I survive. So what am I going to do? So I've got a list here just to go through with you. And the reason I'm telling you what I'm going to do is really, I think, if you're a business owner, this is ultimately what you need to do as well. So, and here we go. Okay, so this is what I'm going to do personally. I'm going to avoid large crowds. Makes sense, yeah, fairly obvious. I'm going to wash my hands as described, the 20-second rule. Make sure I do it thoroughly. Make sure I do it often. I'm going to work remotely with my team. So we're not going to get together. I may not see other members of my team for months physically. We'll be doing online meetings. Okay, we use Zoom. It's fantastic. It's either very cheap or free, dependent on the level of use. And I strongly recommend that you use that. I'm going to try my best to keep my immune system strong and keep fit. I'm going to eat healthily. I'm going to do my best to make sure that if I do catch this virus, I'm in the best physical state to be able to cope with it. I'm going to push my sales and my marketing even more than before. And what people are doing are going, oh, times are tough, or times are going to be tough, so we'll cut back on sales and marketing. Now, I cannot tell you how unbelievably stupid that is. Now, again, I appreciate if you're in the restaurant industry and you know that within 3 days the government's going to close your restaurant, it makes sense not to advertise. Let's just be clear there. But the rest of us, if you're a solicitor, for example, you're not going to get any business unless you keep marketing yourself. If you're a landscape gardener, maybe you've got repeat business, but you need to keep pushing. You need to keep moving forward. If you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. And so I believe that's really, really important. So push your sales and marketing even more. We're going to double up. We're going to do twice as much in order to survive. I'm not going to go out networking. I really love networking. I enjoy doing it. I think it's a great way of marketing. But do you know what? I'm just not willing to do it. I'm not willing to put myself at risk. So I'm not going to go and eat all those breakfasts. I'm not going to attend events. I'm not going to speak at events because I do quite a lot of that, going and speaking and being the speaker at the front in front of the group of 50 or 500 people. So I'm not going to do that. And I'm not going to go to exhibitions and so on and so forth. What I am going to do is I'm going to train myself in my team, but I'm going to do that online. And I'm going to do it consistently in the hope or the belief that I will improve our sales and marketing knowledge. And I've been doing that for 25 years, learning from the best in the world and then passing that information on to other people. I'm going to continue to do that. I'm going to, as far as networking is concerned, I'm going to do networking, but I'm going to do it online. Again, using LinkedIn, even more and hopefully more effectively than I've done so in the past. So I'm definitely going to be doing that. As far as client meetings or prospective sales meetings, I'm simply not doing them other than online. So if you want to meet me, you can, but it's going to be an online meeting and not a physical meeting. Not running any workshops. I've cancelled all my workshops. These are my things like my LinkedIn workshops and how to use YouTube workshops and so on and so forth. And instead of that, I'm going to be promoting my online training. So rather than people doing, coming into a room and spending time with me and other people, what they can do is just log on 24/7 from their home office, on the mobile, down the gym, wherever they are, and they can gain access to my programs that way. Another thing I'm not going to do is I'm not going to pay attention to anyone other than expert health organisations. I don't know about you, but, at times the media drives me mad with all their different opinions. And, if you think about what the media are, they thrive on creating chaos, creating fear. And so often, I do believe that one of the keys from the banking crisis back years ago was the amount of times you heard the words that, everything was going to fall apart, and eventually people stopped spending money. And I think there's a little bit of that going on right now. In fact, I think there's a lot of it, to be honest. I really do believe that, pay attention to health experts. They're the ones that are going to tell us what's real and what's not. The next one, and I think this is a really important one, both from our health point of view, from our family and friends point of view, from our relationships point of view, and definitely from our financial point of view, and that is, I'm going to stay positive. I'm not going to be, all doom and gloom. I'm going to stay positive. I'm going to think this thing's not going to get me, and if it is, I'm going to survive it, and my business is going to survive it too. So I'm going to be determined that my business is going to survive. As I said, I've been going for 25 years, and I'm not going to be closed down by some virus. That's my belief. I'm going to remember what I believe is my favourite quote, one of the great quotes, I think. Again, it's a Tony Robbins one, and he says, "There's always a way if you're committed." And that's something I fundamentally believe deep down in my soul. There's always a way if you're committed. No matter what it is, no matter what the challenge I've had in my life, if I've been committed to sorting it out, there's always a way. So, you and I can't do anything about the coronavirus, let's be key, other than we can follow the instructions that the actual doctors are giving us. But what we can do is take advantage of everything that I've just mentioned. The fact that most people aren't promoting their businesses right now is an opportunity. Most people aren't running ads. Most are not going to run their business. Most of those people are going to run their business into the ground. I don't want to do that. I don't want you to do that. I understand, as I've said, if you run a restaurant or a pub and the government closes you down, then there's little you could do. But perhaps, you could start a delivery service. Perhaps you could do a delivery service for the elderly. Perhaps you can start providing food for hospitals. My point being that you have to think differently. If people can't come to you and sit in your restaurant, then perhaps you can do things differently. My final thought to you is this. If you're the only one showing up to the race, it's a lot easier to win the race. That's it, really. So, let's keep going. We're going to get through this. It's going to end at some point. Obsessing over it, worrying about it, and panicking are all optional. I suggest you stop doing that, keep focused, and most of all, stay safe. Thank you ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you again on my next podcast. And let's hope that pretty soon we'll be talking about, do you remember that coronavirus? Thanks very much for listening.